Hey all, welcome to Sans Books Review. A month back, one of my subscribers asked my opinion on the Joe Abercrombie's First Law Trilogy. So yeah, that's why I decided to make this video, and I hope a brother is watching my video right now. Anyway, alright. In simple words, I got a need to term this trilogy is a masterpiece, and everyone should try this at least once in their lifetime. Not only fantasy genre books, even if you are not familiar with the fantasy genre books, you must try to read this trilogy. This will try will enhance your perspectives on a whole next level. Trust me blindly, guys, you won't regret the decision of reading this trilogy and getting into the books of Joe Abercrombie. And I will suggest you to try this trilogy right after reading a Lord of the Rings or right after watching Lord of the Rings movies. Don't ask me why, but it will do wonders. And yeah, the whole experience would be wholesome. And why it is so good? What are the things which does worked out really very well? We can discuss about that in detail. So without further ado, let's get into the video. The first thing which comes into my mind when I talk about Joe Abercrombie books is the characters. All these characters are really very close to our heart and they are much more lovable than you would expect. And you may argue that there are a lot of series being out there, and I do already have a number of favorite characters within me. You may come up with all these ideas, but let me explain. Joe Abercrombie's characters are really very unique. For example, just imagine your favorite character from any fantasy genre books and try to ask yourself a question, why you do love this character. You may come upon with answers like he is too friendly with the people around him and he is really very helpful for his parents, or else he is really very courageous man, or else the sympathetic aspects like he is actually a good man but it's been misinterpreted by the people around him, or he doesn't get any recognition, or his class would be so low, everyone just wanted to suppress him, but he is really very talented and he can able to lead a big army. You may come upon with some of these answers, right? Or else he would have a character arc. He would start up like a really very bullshit character and it turned out to be a fan's favorite one at the very end. Yes, you may come upon with these answers, but Joe Abercrombie's characters are really very different compared to all these elements. You will love these characters for their flaws, literally their flaws, and these flaws are not easily forgivable. Some of these flaws are too terrible to be honest. For example, some of the persons in this trilogy, POV characters here, just try to kill their own father, and now one of the girl who tried to betray her own family, which eventually led to all of their death, and some of the self-esteemed guy, and some people who would love to show their anger to their family members because they are the submissive ones. You will come upon with all these characters, and some of them are cowards and some of them are lazy and wanted to have sex with all the girls which they have seen without knowing their name. You may come upon with all these characters, but at the end of the day you will end up love everyone. You always give your characters a second chance. Please try to turn back, and some of the characters won't change. Even by the very end of this trilogy, they will remain as the same wild cunt. So even though they are really very terrible, Joe does made us readers to fall in love with all these characters, and it is not an really very easy writing, to be honest. It's a really very complex structure. With just a trilogy, he does makes an full-fledged character arc, and then he will showcase these characters to our heart. So everything would be perfect, and even though they are really very terrible, you would feel sorry for them, and you would treat them as your fellow being. And Joe is really very flawless in this execution. If some other author other than Joe Abercrombie tried to do this aspect, then most of them, I'm not saying everybody, most of them would eventually fail. This is a whole different level of writing, to be honest. And the next thing is Joe Abercrombie's dialogues are really very awesome, and I think Joe is often get underappreciated for his dialogue delivery, and I bet you won't find all Joe Abercrombie's dialogues in any of the Goodread fan pages or Reddit fan pages anywhere else. Uh, these dialogues are not won't inject hope in your life. They are really very realistic. Some of them are really very bitter to taste, but still, that is what the realistic nature of the human being, right? And he will come upon with a lot of realistic dialogues. And you won't expect dialogues like the world is still a good place and it has been worth fighting for. All these dialogues are actually bullshits in Joe Abercrombie's eyes, and he will nail every dialogue delivery on a whole next level. And if I do throw in some of the dialogues to you, you won't find that more compelling to your eyes because you won't know the context, right? If you just look at these dialogues, it won't be much effective. But along with the context, along with the storyline, everything is a gem, to be honest. And try to read this trilogy and you will find out a lot of dialogues out here are really very high perspective and a realistic one, and it can able to connect to your real life. And for one example, the conversation between the character Glota and the slut is somewhat really very perfect. And if you are struggling in your job and if you are trying to manage your boss who doesn't have any sufficient knowledge on the working field, and you may find all the conversation between Glokta and Sal to be really very compelling in your eyes. Just read and find out, guys. It's awesome, and I can't able to pinpoint that this dialogue is good or this dialogue is good. Not that case. Overall, with the context, these dialogues are really very perfect. And the next thing is Joe is an absolute maestro in crafting out the battle and the combat scenes. And in the first Law trilogy, you won't find a lot of battle sequences, to be honest. By the very end of the final book of this trilogy, The Lost Argument of Kings, you may find a lot of battle sequences. But before that, there are some battle sequences being involved, but it won't be emphasized on a big level. But the final books, the battle sequences are really very good. But the combat scenes in the whole First Law trilogy is really very awesome. And for example, the combat fight between Fenris the Fair and the Logan Nine Fingers is the most epic combat sequence I have ever witnessed in my life. On the whole, in movie or along with the reading journey, I have never experienced all these feel which Joe Abercrombie able to prescribe in his delivery. So everything has been awesome, and I think I thought I didn't even breathe when I actually read those combat sequences, and yeah, those things are really very breathtaking. And Joe is actually really very good in structuring a battle sequence too, but he didn't use that much in the First Law trilogy. And after that, you may come up with the standalone books like The Heroes and The Age of Madness trilogy, which took place after this First Law trilogy. And he does use the battle sequences on a whole next level. His writing is really very awesome. He would introduce a whole lot set of new characters in this battle sequences. Who Joe would name these people as small people in this world, and even within 500 to 700 pages, he can able to define a new character, and he can able to prescribe their behaviors and their backgrounds and their opinion on this world, and he can able to deliver the battle sequence without anything without any lag. So that's really very tough job. There are some of the writers been out there who would get nearly 400 to 500 pages in order to make the character feel close to our heart, but Joe can be able to make that magic within 500 to 700 words. Believe it or not, guys, it is true. Down to my heart, what I am saying here is just true. Okay, I do heard John Gwen is a little bit better than Joe Abercrombie in structuring these things, but right now I do feel no one can be able to match the level of Joe Abercrombie in these aspects. And the next thing is I won't want to delve in detail about this thing. You will witness one of the best villainous character you have ever read in your life. And yeah, I don't want to say the name or I don't want to delve in detail because I may spoil upon some of the things which are going to be really very epic by the very end of this trilogy. So yeah, I would hold back. But yeah, I'm in of a mind to make why Joe Abercrombie's First Law Universe does have the perfect villain in the whole of the fantasy genre books. So yeah, I will try to make the video on that aspects on alone. So yeah, let's wait and see. Only time knows. And the next thing is I have been really very positive about this strategy right now, right? Okay, I gotta need to warn you, the ending of this trilogy will traumatize you, and you would take nearly 5 to 10 days in order to get out of this feel. And yeah, I gotta need to warn you, the ending would be really very treacherous and really very harmful to your heart, but still this may open a lot new perspectives in your life and you would question a lot of things being out there in this world. And I want to share my opinion on how I felt after reading the first Law trilogy. And uh, by the 11 a.m. I just started to read this final 150 pages down here, and I won't actually spend a lot of time in reading a book, but on that day I started to read this one and I went pages after pages, and by the 8 p.m. only I just let down the book and just wondered what just happened right now. And I haven't read the final chapter on this book because one of my favorite characters been out there, and I'm extremely scared to read what is going to happen to him. And after some time, I built it upon my courage and started to read the final chapter, and I do ended up reading this book by 11 p.m. After that, I just stayed still by this very position, just stared at the wall for nearly 2 hours, maybe more than that, I don't know. And I just started to question what have I already witnessed right now, and what is the actual theme of the storyline. And I'm extremely frustrated with this trilogy, to be honest, because the whole trilogy is actually a fun read. I do love every character's been out there, loved every dialogue deliveries and every conversation and every conflict, and ended up with just a traumatizing end. And I can't able to accept my ending. And before starting this YouTube channel, I would love to give one short review for all the books I have read in my WhatsApp status. I will try to showcase some of the chats been out there, and I do prescribe this. Like I haven't thrown this book into fire. I can able to control my sanity in some sort of case, and lot of my friends just contacted me. Why does this book is not actually good? And I do mention them. It is actually good, but the ending is somewhat traumatizing. And so yeah, but and I have been in the same mood for a very long period. After 5 days, I came to the realization and understood what Joe is actually trying to convey at the very end. And it just opened a lot of perspective in my life. And I do think this is the very moment I turned into atheist in my life. Anyway, and my entire ideologies just started to change. And after reading this trilogy, I'm not emphasizing anything, or I felt like a man. And yes, I don't want to mention anything in depth. Read and figure out, guys. But yes, the ending would be really very traumatizing. It's not emotional, it is traumatizing, and you will get into depression. So yeah, choose wisely. And if you don't want to delve into that kind of a situation, I guess you should avoid reading this trilogy, to be honest. And there are some of the negatives which I do want to list down here, and some of the people may consider this as a negative, but I won't consider this because I love this trilogy on a whole, and I won't even feel any line or any pages actually really very bad in this execution. But still, when I do stumble upon some of the Reddit fan pages, there are some audience do really concerned about the writing of Joe Abercrombie. Some doesn't get the idea why Joe is actually taking a lot of time to get into the plot. And for me, I actually love this. Yes, Joe does took a whole lot of a time in order to actually explain the right plot. But even those things are actually fun to read. It's not actually a slog. You will enjoy reading all these things. You will still love all the dialogues and all the conflict between the characters and all the conversation between the characters. But still, it is a little bit of concern for some sort of people. So do try to read The Blade itself, the first book in this trilogy, and try to figure out whether this does works for you or not. Okay, and if you can't able to love The Blade itself, then yes, more or less try to avoid to read this trilogy. Okay, it's okay to turn back. And another concern, even I do felt about the Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy is the world building aspect is somewhat really very low here, and you won't. In fact, the First Law trilogy doesn't even have a map, and you gotta need to just prescribe yourself a map, and you gotta need to judge these places are all in here and there. So this book doesn't have a map, but I don't have any problem, and I don't expect world building to be a whole next level in order to read a trilogy or getting into a series. So if you are really into the world building aspect, I do feel you won't actually love the Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy. So yeah, that's all the two concerns. And uh, anyway, I think I would have convinced you in order to read this trilogy. And if you manage to get influenced by me in order to read this trilogy, do comment down your thoughts. And by the end of this trilogy, try to visit back this video and uh, give your thoughts on this trilogy. Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. And yeah, nice meeting to you all. And I do want to give some suggestion to the ones who actually try this strategy and recommending this to the others. I do want to give one suggestion to you. So if you already have read this trilogy, do continue watching this video. If you haven't, exit this video and try to read this trilogy and have fun. Okay. And for all the readers who are the fans of Joe Abercrombie, don't try to recommend this series to the newbie by mentioning there is no one good or bad in this world. Okay, the entire trilogy's motive is Joe tricking us readers in order to believe a bias, and Joe does made all the readers to support the union in this whole conflict, right? And he does made all the six characters to fight for the union, but just by the very end of this trilogy only we can able to come to a conclusion that there is no one good or bad in this world, and there is nothing difference between the people who are civilized and uncivilized. So don't recommend this book by mentioning there's no one good or bad. Actually, by the very end of the before they are hanged, I do thought why everyone mentioned there is no one good or bad in this world, because I do thought the union or the good guys, and we gotta need to support all these POV characters who are actually fighting for the union. So yeah, I'm not such a knowledgeable person in order to figure out what's been coming at the very end. So anyway, don't recommend this trilogy by mentioning these aspects. Okay. Anyway, hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and yeah, happy reading to you all. Cheers.